Hello, how's everybody doing? This is Pierre Durr, and this is an ex-Jehovah Witness tape. It's about something that I'm getting ready to post. I've been working on this for since the last time, maybe close to 2 months. I've been working on it, and it's very, very good. To me, it's for this channel. It's new information. So things I'm doing, I haven't talked to you in a long time. I'm getting ready to cut my hair again. I want to take some classes. And so next time you see me, I'm going to look very much different. So this new information that I've been working on it for a long time. And it's going to be ex-Jehovah Witness, of course. And the title is going to be about, we're going to have the Jehovah Witnesses, which is like followers, okay? And when I mean followers, I mean the followers in the definition of what I'm going to talk about. It has nothing to do with like followers on social media or anything like that. And then we have, and then we're going to have, I'm going to talk about individuals, okay? This is something that I've always thought about. So all these points that I have in this YouTube that's going to be coming out is information that I wanted to expose or wanted to talk about, but it didn't have as much information as I have now. Some of the final touches that really made me, to help me come up with the actual topic is I was reading the book. I gave them information from everywhere. And about this character, for instance, I don't know if you're familiar with Helen Keller, okay? And it's funny because I just want to tell you the story about myself. Something more about myself. Since I'm older, I've listened to a lot of things. I've read a lot of books. I saw a lot of movies. And it's funny because as you graduate older, for everybody, if you go back to some of the movies or go back some of the things that you've always heard, you have a different perspective on it. So this is the intro, what I'm talking about as far as this book I read. I didn't read I read a book. I read it as a book, but I also saw the movie numerous amounts of times. And if you grew up in the 80s, you've seen it, or 70s, you've seen it numerous amount of times. It was starring Patty Duke, and the name of it was The Miracle Worker. And I'm glad I read the book also. The book is actually more detailed in the mind of a person who doesn't have the capabilities as everybody else. And so I saw the movie. I think I bought the movie on YouTube. I bought the book on YouTube or something. The movie. I saw the movie on YouTube. I think I bought it. I'm not sure. No, I think it was free actually. And now I started to look at it as a person who can't communicate with anybody, with anything, and how her world she was lost in this world, okay? But there were people, but there was no way in the world that she could learn, she could communicate, meaning she can't talk, she can't hear. So how is she going to get this information about herself, okay? So I saw this person as an individual, okay? She's a total individual because for her to learn anything, it has to go to her core. She has to do most of the work herself to see who she is. And she has to learn who she is, because there's no other medium that can persuade her in other ways. But she had parents who really loved her. And because of her parents really loved her and they were able to spend money on trying to help her, they found this teacher, okay? And this teacher I'm not going to say everything, but I'm saying the things that helped me to put it into this discourse or this conversation that we're going to have soon. And hopefully tomorrow I'll finish it. So I saw her as, and I can't put her in a category as far as ex-Jehovah Witnesses or Jehovah Witnesses, but I used this and I was learning from her experience to show that we all have this core that she had. Okay. Now, as the end of the movie, and I understood it much better because of the knowledge that I've gained, just all of the things that I've learned from the YouTubes and everything that I've learned thus far. And at the end, toward the end of the movie, and you know, of course, it's not the first time I watch it, like I told you. I was able to pick up more. And first of all, one point I want to make is her teacher, these are the things that I grasped this time. Her professor was like her. Her professor was just a normal person, had many shortcomings, had many things that happened to her. So she was affected in her life herself, and she wanted to help this other person, okay? Because she could identify with her. And the importance of her uniqueness as taking this job, she was able to help her like no one else could. And there was one point toward the end that I want to tell you. When she taught her how a lot of things about life, okay? She knew that she was just like, I'm going to say, a follower, like everybody else, okay? She taught her the things to do to be able to fit in with everybody else, okay? And her father was very happy about this, but she was happy about it, and she was very happy because she had success, but she individually wanted her to learn something else. And you'll see at the end if you look at the movie or read the book, she wanted her to do things on her own, not physically, but she wanted her to appreciate herself and find love and find the reason that she was teaching her. And that was one thing that her father and nobody understood, but she understood because of the things that happened to her. So she was trying to explain it to her father, to Helen Keller's father, and she was going, it's so fun. Yes, she can do this and she can do that and she can do this, but I wanted her to find herself, meaning who she is. So she's not just doing it just as a follower, but she's doing it for a purpose, that she can feel that I'm teaching her, that she can feel what she wants to feel. So a world of herself, okay? And then, so she didn't stop there, okay? And as time went on, they had another dinner or whatever. And during this dinner, she knew that, yes, she wasn't finished yet. Okay, so she didn't give up on her. She didn't say, okay, well, that's all I can do. So she kept on working with her. And at the end, just at the end, when everybody thought that there's nothing else that we could do, okay, we did the best that we could, okay, she finds herself, okay. And when she finds herself, and what I mean by finding herself, she found herself as an individual, okay. And what I learned from this is that helped me as far as this conversation that I'm going to have, is that we all are individuals. We are all like Helen Keller, okay? We have a lot of distractions, which it seems like it would help us, but it doesn't. It makes it harder for us. So in actuality, in a lot of ways, Helen Keller had it easier to find herself as an individual. So that was my meaning as far as the individual. That's what I'm going to use as a meaning of what everybody has as Helen Keller, okay? So that helped me out that's going to help me to describe what I'm talking about as far as being an individual. Then, now these things didn't just come to me because I constantly work on these YouTubes as far as the ex-Jehovah Witness, all my YouTubes. But this one, I'm not kidding, it took a lot of work. I would say more than 2 months, because I knew that there was something that I wanted to express, but I didn't have enough information. I couldn't put it into a foundation. So now I can. So then there was another thing. Joseph, I'm almost sure it's Joseph. Yeah, Joseph. You know this story of Joseph in the Bible, okay? I kind of saw him as an ex-Jehovah Witness. I just saw him as an ex-Jehovah Witness, okay? Because he had his brothers and he had his family, okay? And it's not that his father, how can I say? It's not that his father did anything at all to him, okay? But his brothers did, okay? And secretly, everybody knows the story, hopefully. I'm almost sure everybody knows the story. So he had to survive the world as an ex-Jehovah Witness. When I say as, I mean like an ex-Jehovah Witness, like we've all done. So you can see, I already had the meaning of an individual. So then I saw Joseph as an individual, okay? What is an individual that Joseph showed me? First of all, the major part was he was in this crowd to be sold as a slave. And now you know from my talks and everything else, I feel everybody has as Christians this life as a slave, okay? Because I know that because Jesus said one thing: you cannot enter the kingdom without being a slave. That was one of the things, you know. So it's in our Christian forefathers, which were slaves, okay? And as far as the blacks are concerned, now we have another, how can I say, a present understanding of what slavery was and what it is now, okay? So that's just a big deal because there's an understanding, okay? So he was a slave. And one of the points, like I said, that really brought to my mind about this individual, because it was forming, was they asked him, how did they say, how did he say he was, I don't know how it came about, but they were talking about gods. And he says, I have one God. Okay? And they had many gods. That showed me another point about being an individual. That every individual has one God. Okay? They don't serve him like the Jehovah Witnesses. Okay? Jehovah Witnesses serve him together. They're all in a group. They all do the same thing. No, Joseph didn't have his brothers. He didn't have the religion or whatever with them. He had to do this on his own. How did he survive? Because he had one God. Okay, and I went through all the things that he went through. Okay, because he had one God. And he ran away from these people. He ran away one time because one of his masters, which was a lady, tried to seduce him, and he didn't want to do anything bad to his actual master. And he explained it to his master. Everything that he did as an individual. How did he do it? With his communication, his individual communication with God. Okay? And now coming back here in the present time, as I said before, these people, we live the same lives that they had in the biblical times. And we do it by the way we are, the way we are, okay? We do the same things as Joseph did, okay? And that shows me, it's just like, how did it say in the Bible? You could tell his people by not any physical aspects, but by the way they live their lives. So that's that's what I'm going to talk about on, I think it's going to be tomorrow then when I finish it. Okay, then I'm going to do it. But this is an ex-Jehovah Witness tape, and I just told you like the meaning or the summary or what's the synopsis of what I'm going to talk about. It's so funny because I always think about language, because I took linguistics in school, and whenever I do think, I always watch myself and observe the things that I'm doing, okay? And I learn about these YouTubes, and it's definitely true about this conversation, okay? Because I'm just telling you more about how I go about talking about my YouTube, how I go about communicating through this YouTube. And it's in the right direction, because I listen to a lot, because there's a lot of things going on with the government and stuff like that. So I listen to a lot of YouTubes, people have YouTubes. And I noticed that the ones that go by a script, you lose so much information. I still get information, but you're listening to them, and because of society, there's so many things that you have to fill up every space that you can think of, okay? But I noticed when they go to this precise script, okay, that so many things are lost, okay? And I think everybody has to learn, who does YouTubes, that you can either go over your information and know it very well, but whatever you do, it's not really good to have a script, especially nowadays, because you have to learn how to do this communication, this YouTube communication thing, okay? And it's funny because I'm put in a position to where I have to be who I am, you know. There's nothing else. So everything I studied, I can tell you, everything I worked on, I could expose it to you, okay? And that's just something I wanted to tell you about as far as the linguistics, as far as the way that I treat my YouTubes now, especially with my ex-Jehovah Witness YouTubes. And like I'm saying, the people who don't have that script, just the script, I don't lose my interest. I don't lose my interest at all, because they're telling me so many things. I'm seeing their reaction to what they're saying. I'm seeing how they feel about their information. I'm seeing their emotions. It's so many things. And I'm doing this and I'm learning more and more about how to communicate on YouTube. And I just want to tell you, I always work on everything. You know that, okay? And I just don't put, especially in my ex-Jehovah Witness tapes, I just don't put out information because there's other things that that I have to learn, you know. So I wanted to state that. And is there anything else? That was very important to tell you about the concept of this YouTube, the way I'm going about it, so that a lot of people who first listen to it, they understand. So anyway, thank you very much, and I hope to see you I hope I see you tomorrow. I hope I do this YouTube. Oh, I wanted to say this. This is one point I wanted to say. The reason why I understand this about the conversation is that I do music. I mean, I sing, on this YouTube, okay? And the hardest thing, okay, is being yourself in the song. I'm getting better at it, but it's really, really, really a lot to learn. And that's what I was saying. It's like when you script something and you're just reading off the script, there's no way that you can continually build or learn about the way you're communicating. But in the songs, like I said, that's what I want to do. So it takes so much time and so much maturity and so much continually learning, to where now I'm at the point, like when I sing a song, I'm feeling who I am. And that's what I want to express to you. When I talk to you, I want you to feel that, it's serious to me. And it is me. And I'm just not telling you information, okay? Just like in my songs, I strive to make it to where you see me singing, okay? In my music, in my guitar music. Okay, so anyway, thank you very much. I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.